Hey, it's Drybear. Dark Hours is a fun co-op game that has a lot of really cool elements to it, but one of the hardest things to learn about Dark Hours is how to deal with all the natural threats, the monsters that are available now in the game. So today I'm going to walk you through all of the 4 current monster types, as well as all the tips and tricks you can use to deal with them and handle them, and what you need to look out for so you can be better prepared when you go into Dark Hours to play with your friends, or if you're brave enough to go solo. The first monster to talk about is going to be the Banshee. She is a ghost-like enemy that will float around the areas, and she has a freeze mechanic. She will have 2 different ways to freeze you. She will do this Banshee Shriek attack, which is primarily line of sight focus, which means as long as you're hiding behind line of sight, you should be able to break the freeze before it happens. You can also use earmuffs as an item, either by finding them in level. Keep in mind that once the level starts, once you get the monster locked in for the type, you will actually get the right item that you need to counter that monster spawning and a single value somewhere in the level. So someone can go grab the earmuffs and use them. But in this clip, you can see that I'm actually using line of sight for the most part to break the frost that's happening from the Banshee Shriek. Once you get frozen, you have a couple options here. You will slowly defrost over time, and you yourself cannot move very easily. There's an item called a blow dryer in the game, which allies can use to defrost you quickly, but once you do get frozen, the Banshee will slowly work her way over to all the people that got frozen and then grab them and kill them on the spot. So your goal is to either deal with the Banshee directly or to rescue anyone that may have gotten frozen. If you don't have a hairdryer, there is a manual process where you can rub the teammate and wake them up by defrosting them that way. But again, your goal is to defrost them as fast as possible so that the Banshee doesn't grab them and take them out. So equipment-wise, the 2 items that you really want to look forward to using and keep with you if you know that it's going to be a Banshee or you realize it's a Banshee is one going to be the earmuffs here. Again, you can actually use these items to avoid the Banshee Shriek. This will make you immune to her effects while you have these equipped, and the hair dryer, which can be used to quickly defrost a teammate that may have gotten frozen. Now again, line of sight is your best friend when it comes to the Banshee. She is relatively slow until you get 3 fuses online. Every monster in the game, once you have 3 fuses locked in for the vault on the map, will start going berserk and going crazy. Banshee will start doing her special attack a lot more often. So she has the Shriek attack, but she also has this move where she will fly down the center of a corridor at high speed. If she passes through you, she will immediately freeze you. So if you know that she's going to in berserk mode, you're going to want to stand on the sides of the corridors or just try to stay out of her way as much as possible to avoid getting hit. Additionally, you can actually use furniture to your advantage. You want to get as much of a line of sight blocker between you and her as you possibly can, but in the current state of the game, there's actually a little bit easier way to deal with it. You can actually get crawled under furniture. If you can find your way under a table, you will get frozen, but she has no way to get to you under the table, so you can at least save your life that way, and it's super useful when you're playing solo as well. So just crawl under a table and make sure that you don't stay out in the open, because she won't be able to grab you even though you get frozen under the table, and you can just wait her out. Now, she is one of the few ethereal types as well, which means that she can teleport at will. She will warp around the map, she'll teleport anywhere she wants, and so you have to be very careful about your positioning when you deal with this. And for this reason, if anyone gets grabbed and you know you have some revives left, you're going to want to wait until she disappears before you activate. So in this clip, you can see that I tried to peek around to see if I could res my teammate, but I ended up aggroing her and keeping her in place. If she has no one looking at her or no one around for a little while, she will teleport and go somewhere else. But you can say I can at least use line of sight here to avoid getting frozen, and then go for the rescue on the teammate that's down to make sure that they don't actually get completely removed from the game when we run out of revives. Now, there's another super high level trick that's very difficult to pull off, but does work. If you're able to throw an object through her when she has the grab animation on a teammate, you will be able to disperse her. I don't know if this is intended or not, but again, if she's about to grab someone to finish them off when they're frozen, throw an item at full pace, so you can hold down middle mouse on PC, throw it directly through her, and she will vanish for a few seconds, which might buy you time to defrost them, especially if you have a hairdryer. Next up is one of the physical monsters, the Hidebehind. And this one is a bit of a challenge as it gets later in the game, as he gets stronger and stronger. So he is this dark, wraith-looking like character, and he is physical, which means you can use trank darts on him to slow him down, but he can also teleport and disappear out of sight. He is called the Hidebehind because he will often disappear from your sight and appear behind you, and he is incredibly fast. In fact, you should expect that on a foot race, you will almost always lose against the Hidebehind. When he first appears, he'll start walking towards you, but he will start speeding up faster and faster and faster until eventually you just can't outrun him. You can sprint at first, but he will get faster and faster. His primary weakness, though, is going to be light. If he gets enough light on him, he will vanish. The major counter for him is to use the instant camera with the flash on it. It only has 5 charges, which is unfortunate, but it does allow you to at least snap a shot of him, flash him with that flash, and he will disappear for that time period. Now, this makes him easier to deal with at the beginning of the game. Because he is weak to light, you can find rooms with lights on. He's most dangerous in the corridors where the light is very low, but if you can find a room with lights on, or you can power the generator and get the main power on in the building, you can go into these rooms, turn on the lights, and you'll be safe in there from the hide behind as long as you're inside there. However, if you ever enter a room without any power or light, you will actually get caught by him and get taken out. And then you use the instant camera to avoid him as well. However, throughout the match, as he gets spawned and disappears, he will periodically start destroying bulbs all around the map. So even in the rooms that are well lit, he will start popping those bulbs and removing the lights, which means as the game gets later and later, he becomes more and more dangerous to deal with. So if you find the hide behind and you know that's your monster for the level, I recommend just trying to finish the map as fast as possible, as he will start getting stronger over time as the lights go out. And also, once you get 3 fuses active on the vault, he will berserk, which will make his speed incredibly fast. Again, your best bet here is just to keep distance and go towards light. Some places, like there's light coming in through the windows, you can try to get a lot of flashlights on him to try and slow him down or make him disappear, but this will get weaker and weaker over time. Now, every time that you get the hide behind, 1 instant camera will spawn on the map every time with 5 charges on it, so you want to rush and find this as well, which is super useful, and you can use this to make him disappear as long as you have charges on it. So either bring instant cameras from your personal locker at the beginning of the match, or find the one that's on the map and you can make him disappear this way. Again, because once he appears and he is not teleporting, he has a physical form, you can also use the trank gun to slow him down. This is not a way to stop him, it will just slow his movement speed and allow you to get some distance. Another thing that's worth mentioning with the hide behind is that he will often disappear from your line of sight and then appear behind you, so you want to be careful about rounding corners aggressively or turning 180 and running away as fast as you can, because you might run straight into him. As soon as he gets in melee range of you, very close, he will actually just grab you and kill you right there. Next up is the blind ghoul, and this guy is blind, as the name would suggest. He cannot see at all, so no matter what you do in his line of sight, it won't matter. It has no impact on what he does. He can't actually see you. What he is then is driven by sound. So any sound that you make, this includes interacting with objects, throwing objects, or any sound that he hears, he will rush at it and attack it. He's basically the monsters from A Quiet Place, which means that what you're going to want to do when you have the blind ghoul on the level is crouch most of the time if you know he's nearby, and just note that if you are somewhere where you're about to open a door, open a drawer, activate a code, solve some kind of vault, and there's going to be a beeping sound, be very careful about the amount of sound that you make, and also keep in mind that he will also recognize your microphone as well. So if you talk, even if you're not doing anything, if you just speak on the microphone, he will grab you and take you out. Now, because he has no way of teleporting, he runs everywhere, you can actually lock him into some of the vault locations. The vault is the easiest place to do this because it has a grate that comes down and blocks it completely, or if you can do it properly, you can lock him inside the vault itself and he won't be able to get out. Now, you may have to go back in there to get it, but he is blocked completely by any physical objects except for doors. If you can find the lock gates or the shutdown gates, you can lock him in one place and prevent him from escaping. I'm sure at some point they will balance this so that he's not completely locked out from that, but it is an option. If you're careful enough and plan things out well enough, you can prevent him from escaping in those locations. Now, because he is sound-based and you can throw items, if you're crouching around and being very quiet and not talking much on your microphone, you can grab objects and throw them down the hallway or in a different room, and if he hears it, he will run towards it and investigate. This will give you a little bit of breathing room so you can enter into a room and check things out, and I recommend doing this often, especially when he's near a specific objective, like there's a room you need to clear, like the director's office, or you're in the vault or something. You need to use objects to grab his attention and move. I recommend crouching the entire time. As soon as you run or open a door, he's going to come running and check it out. Now, he does have 2 major items that he's weak to. The one is the rubber chicken, which you can make a lot of noise very easily with, and this will prevent him from running towards you. You can just throw the rubber chicken in an area and bait him somewhere, which is really good. The other option is to use the foghorn, which is an item that you can pick up either in the shop or will spawn on a level. Again, if you get the blind ghoul, it'll spawn it in one in the level. You can grab grab it, and then you can blow in it and use it, and it will stun him for about 2 or 3 seconds, which if you're in a really bad spot or he's blocking a door, you can use this to prevent him from grabbing someone and taking them out. Last up right now in early access is the Weeping Angel, or the Stone Stalker. It is a very common horror archetype of this all-white marble statue, stone statue, that moves when you aren't looking at it. This one becomes a major problem. So when you see one of these stone stalkers, you can deal with it relatively easy, and they get easier to deal with when you're in a group. I've played solo and in a group, and I would say that they're almost impossible to deal with in solo for the most part, but you can deal with them in certain ways. So as long as one person at least has their camera trained on them, they will not move. They are still dangerous. They can still grab you if you bump into them, but for the most part, as long as someone has them in their sights, they will not move. So you can see here, even as she moved forward, we still kind of clipped her with the edge of our camera and she stopped. The best thing to do to deal with these stone stalkers is to lead them all into one room. You will get multiples in multiplayer. I believe the highest you can have is up to 5. So in some matches, if you have 4 players in your match, they can spawn up to 5 of these things in a single match, which is ridiculous. Lead them all into one room by turning your back and letting them get close, and lead them all over, and then just have one person just stare at them for the match while people do the objectives, and they won't be able to move, they won't be able to do anything. Now, unfortunately, as it stands right now, there really isn't any items that can help you deal with them. Adrenaline shot can be nice because it gives you a little bit more stamina to move around, but for the most part, you're just keeping your eye on them at all times, and that is the way to counter them. There isn't like an easy item that prevents them from moving, slows them down, or anything like that. They will just keep moving as long as no one's looking at them, and they get easier with more people in the game as long as you're paying attention. And it really takes a coordinated effort between teammates to just go to a dead end, turn around, let the monster get close, turn around again, let her get close, don't touch her. You can also go under tables and around objects to get around, or use the vents as well, and they will take a couple seconds to start moving when they're not being looked at. So you just have to be very careful as you move around, keep eyes on them. That doesn't work through walls. You have to be very careful about them catching up, and you also want to be careful to keep someone on watch, especially when you have to do the hacking codes to open the saves or open the doors, because if you turn your back and everyone's looking at an objective, she will grab you and kill you on the spot and prevent that from happening. So as the match goes later and later and you get 3 fuses up on the vault door, they will enrage as well and get more and more dangerous, or spawn multiples of them, which you have to be really, really careful about, and just make sure that you're paying attention along the way. It's more of just like a game of patience to make sure you have this, but again, even if you have eyes on them, make sure you're paying attention, because if you clip them for a second, even just a second in melee range, they will grab you and destroy you on the spot. And those are the 4 monster types in the Dark Hours right now, and hopefully they add more. I think there's a lot of room for a lot more maps, a lot more monster types, and a lot more interactions that you can have in the game. But I think as it stands right now, it's a super fun game, and hopefully this video helped you out. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.